Chat, here we go. We got another semifinal of the EU Fall 5K. We say EU, but both players in this semifinal, in fact, all the players in this side of the bracket have been from the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia. And now we have a matchup between the legend of 1v1 who's held it down for Saudi Arabia for a long time in oKhaliD, and the newcomer, not just in 1v1, but in RLCS as well, in Rawass. Rawass trying to make a name for himself alongside Rw9 in the 3v3 arena. But he's going to try and show that he's got the 1v1 chops to go against the greats as well. I'm not sure that we've seen Rawass ever beat oKhaliD. I wasn't able to look up and double check the matchups between these two. So feel free to talk between yourselves. But I think oKhaliD has had the edge when they've played before. Despite Rawass slowly working his way up the 1v1 scene, I think he has brought himself in a tier that matches oKhaliD. But whenever oKhaliD puts the time in for 1v1 and seems to set his mind to it, he does not lose often, if ever. And right now, he's up 2-0 against Rawass. Rawass out to the midfield, grabbing boost, not recognized in the oKhaliD. He's going to have a second goal there. oKhaliD struggling in the Swiss, not making it through as clean as Rawass. Rawass hasn't lost a game yet. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 on his way through the Swiss, and then a 3-0 in his quarterfinal. So he has, I believe that makes it 9 straight games that he has won in this tournament. He's not trying to stop that streak now. Rawass, his defense is what he's been known for a long time as a 1v1er, specifically his goal line defense. Even if you do get to your position to make a shot, it's hard to get it past this Rw9 defender. But oKhaliD has shown you how to do it. And a lot of that has to do with doing the hard work outside of the net. oKhaliD has been able to get steals of possession in places that there's no chance for Rawass to get back. He's trying to air dribble through oKhaliD right now and can't do so. Rawass, wall to air dribble. oKhaliD not only saves it, but sets himself up the other way. Good recovery from Rawass in order to prevent that from leaving the orange half, and got a bit aggressive there in the corner. Not sure what kind of touch or setup he was going for. oKhaliD sees this opportunity to escape and is now attacking that goal line defender we just talked about. Rawass does not get ball here, but slows oKhaliD down enough. Will we see the wall to air dribble from Rawass? I've used him as an example of a player who actually likes to turn them down more often than not. But he needs to find something here in this game so far. So he will take the full field dribble, and he's always been capable of it. It hasn't been a skill issue for Rawass by any means. He just seems to think taking that on the ground is a safer, more reliable method. But maybe when you're going against oKhaliD, you're going to need to use the whole range of attacks, and oKhaliD immediately gets himself back up 4-2. Using all of his boost on the diagonal kickoff. Not something that everyone necessarily does. A lot of times players saving that last bit to help them in the follow-up after the play. You see Rawass here saving 12, and the 12 is relevant in getting him the goal. So it is a trade-off. Interesting to see. See, oKhaliD even saved 12 on this one, but on the diagonal maybe using all of his boost. oKhaliD, another kickoff goal, 5-3. It has been a kickoff battle the past few goals. No wave dash from either one of these guys. Standard kickoffs. Just trying to get the edge. Rawass is getting more goal side on this one while still keeping his speed. He's going to push it into oKhaliD's corner, but as long as he doesn't bounce directly in the net, it's still probably a win for oKhaliD. Rawass probably going to need a bump on oKhaliD if he wants to turn this into something. And I feel like he thought about it for a second. Turning ball came off, but decided against it. Now his air dribble stopped by oKhaliD yet again. Can't seem to find a reliable way through. He's been able to score kickoffs and a very impressive full field dribble. But he's going to have to find more ways to get past oKhaliD if he wants to win this series. Rawass, that's a panic touch. I would think. Maybe was thinking oKhaliD was going to come get the save, and even as he muscles it inches away from the net, it's still not enough. oKhaliD keeps it out and might even be scoring himself. He is. oKhaliD says, I heard you were known for defense. Let me show you what real 1v1 defense is. Rising to the occasion and has held Rawass to 3. I mean, this is the way Rawass has been scoring. Oh, I mean, he's not even scoring this one. He needed to. That kickoff has to be going in the way Rawass has been playing in the midfield. Rawass from the corner, 20 boost, going to save it all for the eventual follow-up. And he actually has to use it to delay oKhaliD headed to the blue half. oKhaliD, a mistake, and Rawass long shot does not catch oKhaliD off guard like he would have liked. We have seen Rawass booming to the back wall a lot more often than you see one's players do. Here he's going to go air dribble, a bump. oKhaliD cannot keep it out. Actually, impressive play by Rawass to keep it extra high, go for the double instead of trying to immediately score it so that oKhaliD misses here, and then he could still force it in, get the fourth. I mean, he's got 2 goals to make up and a decent amount of time to do so. Rawass not electing to dive into the corner and steal from oKhaliD. I think the reason why, he has to flip before while oKhaliD's still grounded, and if oKhaliD sees that flip, he's just going to turn back to the ball and punish. So Rawass decides, I do have to give him that corner boost, and turns out that situation ends in a goal on his net as well. oKhaliD, great placement right over the top of Rawass, who is one of, like we said, the better defenders from that position. He really likes his shadow defense. But you wouldn't know it so far watching him against oKhaliD in this game 1. Rawass, interception. You have to wonder as this clock winds down, and likely a game number 1 win for oKhaliD, barring a bit of a collapse. Is there any of what I like to call, I'm sure there's probably a real name for it, but big brother syndrome? I think in the regions, amongst players who play each other for a long time, there is, players who are the best, but also have the benefit of people being scared of them. Not quite scared of them, but, it's oKhaliD. If you're Rawass, you've been watching oKhaliD, you've been knowing his domination ones for a long time. Does that affect you when it comes time to try and beat him in a tournament? Remember, YouTube, every subscription for the next month adds $1 to the prize pool at the end of the year. So please subscribe. Game number 2. We are on EU servers today. If you've been watching the whole tournament, then you remember, I think in Rawass's previous game, it was the first time that I had done a Middle East server, I think almost ever, for 2 Middle East players, because usually they want to just play on EU. So I asked them again today. I said, do you want to play Middle East this time? But Rawass says no, since the winner of this game is going to have to go play on EU servers for the final. It just makes sense to play this one on EU as well. Get used to it. So that's why we're on EU servers here. Rawass did want a new EU server, though, for game number 2. Can he use this server to his advantage? Great bounce dribble. Threatening every part of the net. oKhaliD maybe had a chance to dive right there, but turns to shadow and moves right when Rawass is shooting left. Rawass, another possession in his favor. oKhaliD, I'm actually surprised he even flipped towards the boost. Rawass pretty clearly going to win that race. Now, how long can he survive? Working off the pads around net. Rawass, this shot good enough to keep the boost starvation going. That's what's important here in these 1v1s. He knows not to back off this one. Smart play by Rawass. oKhaliD in net, looking for his time to get a touch, and takes off ball cam to see what Rawass is doing. But what he finds out is that Rawass is landed perfectly, ready to get up faster than him. Score his second goal. Rawass possession play. All the way to his back corner. Moxie, we just watched Moxie Joyce. oKhaliD does not want to follow him there. Long shot for Rawass. Here's the reason why oKhaliD didn't want to follow him there. At first, he wasn't willing to make the kind of aggressive play on the back wall. Likely because he was worried about what happened afterwards when he finally did go there. The Big Brother analogy is what you're thinking of when it comes to Mina and the Falcons players. Yeah, I mean, you never know how much that really affects them. But I think these competitors like Rawass, I'm sure he's felt he's had what it takes for a long time to win a game like this, as well as those 3v3 games against the Falcons. Nice steal. Great placement. Rawass just perfection so far in this game, number 2. oKhaliD trying to stop him early by moving out to the midfield without any boost. I mean, that's what oKhaliD's always wanted to do. He does not like to give players any space to feel comfortable, but this time Rawass handles it well and is able to play keep away as he gets a 5th straight goal, 5-0. Halfway through the game, this 50 is not the best for Rawass, but oKhaliD's recovery is such that Rawass still can stay in control. Now pass to himself off the side wall. Reset. Too strong. He needs to get in and out of the net fast if he wants to not get scored on. He actually did a decent job because oKhaliD forced to play it into the corner instead of taking the immediate shot, because if he slowed down at all, Rawass would have been able to catch up. Now oKhaliD, very smart play to go off the backboard to try and get Rawass to miss, but he couldn't get the follow-up fast enough. He still has Rawass pinned. See Rawass floating around the net, picking up the pads to have 40 to make this defensive effort. He has escaped the blue half, and the cut is just in. oKhaliD certainly didn't think so, because he didn't jump and didn't seem to be worried about this. He thought he was going to be able to chase it down and maybe get a 50 of some sort, but instead goes sailing over the top of his head. 6-0. What a turnaround from Rawass. oKhaliD seemed like the better player for sure in game number 1. Rawass not backing down, shook it off, and has to hold off oKhaliD for 2 more minutes and should be able to tie the series. Oh, look at the shot. Rawass popping it with a single jump to get it on the correct side of his car and then backflipping it in to get it near post. Ooh. Able to sneak it in, 7-0. Rawass save off his net. What a save to get back to this. I mean, he had no business saving this in the first place, the follow-up, but he tried to set it up so he could get back to it, and he did. But oKhaliD was playing the long game. He knew he didn't have to go all in on this one either. Just get up and once again keep it from leaving the space in front of the net so that he could just follow it up once Rawass finally is no longer around. oKhaliD doing a similar save off his crossbar. And now he's got to carry with 0 boost. Is he going to be able to turn this into a goal? He is. Rawass afraid to turn and challenge him. Goes to show just how much control oKhaliD has over the ball, even without any boost as assistance. But it did seem like that flick was high enough that Rawass could have taken it away. I wonder if he thought oKhaliD had any. Because if oKhaliD has even a couple, then he could get that fast aerial probably up to beat him there. But on absolutely 0, you know, there was definitely moments when that was a Rawass ball, guaranteed uncontested. But I also think Rawass probably going to start making more what he thinks are safer defensive maneuvers with a minute left to go and a 5-goal lead. So instead of turning the challenge and potentially giving an open net, try and force oKhaliD to execute as the clock winds down. And nice outplay. It'll be an 8th. "45 seconds. Is oKhaliD capable of getting the kind of kickoffs that would be needed? Tell you what, that's the start. Rawass needing to adjust to play a bit safer. I don't know if he has the wave dash kickoff. The wave dash kickoff is usually a bit more of a neutral outcome when you're trying to slow the game down and prevent a ton of quick goals. Either one of these guys seemed too interested in going for it. Rawass once again going to shadow. Not going to challenge oKhaliD early. It's going to pay off this time. Rawass looks to tie the series in equally as dominant fashion as oKhaliD did in the first game. oKhaliD's not even going to take this final goal. Or wait, of course he wouldn't because that's his own net, but... Game number 2. Set in stone. Rawass, oKhaliD, even in this best of 7. Game number 3. Rawass seemed to have everything figured out for the first 4 minutes. I would say after going up 7-0, oKhaliD did look to have the edge late in the game, which in general has led to, you know, trends starting the next one. I would say how you looked in the final minutes frequently carries over into the next game. Oh, Rawass. Yeah, I was going to say, Rawass is going to try and pinch it with oKhaliD. You can see the way that oKhaliD was setting up. Rawass could tell that he could use him as the wall to shoot this off of. And so he aims it right into him and forces him to own goal. It's a tough decision there from oKhaliD. He has to not go to it. He has to almost half flip away. So that as Rawass tries to do that, it rolls into the corner instead of into the net. But it's a hard decision to make. Just flipping away from the ball in most circumstances is not what you want to do, but that's what he's going to have to do to prevent that from happening. 83 boost for Rawass. High ball, he's going to die. I was going to say, this clear is not simple. You have to be careful in the process of carrying it away, and that's exactly what Rawass thought. I need to be careful. I need to make sure I get the right first touch, and all that time being thought about it gets him demoed. Now Rawass trying to bump oKhaliD so that this ball rolls in front of the net where he can score it, and he does exactly that. Even though oKhaliD able to get a single touch, it comes off of a really tough position. It almost seems like oKhaliD actually had to be patient in a dire circumstance. If he doesn't flip off the wall and instead just goes to the ground, because Rawass backed off. He wasn't trying to force it through. He's clearly trying to back off and just play off oKhaliD's touch. So if oKhaliD just didn't touch it, he would have been okay. Rawass 4-1. Wave dash. Puts it inside the far post. oKhaliD air dribble. Just looking for the 50. We saw him do that in his matchup against Clears. That's a storyline that we've yet to mention. oKhaliD to get here, having to take the twin brother, also on Rule 1, out of the tournament. Now he's trying to get the full family deal if he can send Rawass home. But right now, Rawass has had the edge in the past few minutes. oKhaliD feels the early challenge coming, pops up over the top of it, and can he sneak this in? Cannot, but his possession's not over, and he actually was able to take that corner boost as well. So Rawass is going to take his semicircle trip. Actually, he's going to go more than just a semicircle trip, all the way back to the corner. And it felt like that near post for oKhaliD was open if Rawass was going to do that, but oKhaliD doesn't take that shot. Instead, waits a bit longer and is able to score off of the second attempt. Good first touch here to bring it to a scoring position. oKhaliD missing the boost, but not an issue with Rawass far backed off. oKhaliD can't get the double angle. Played it high to make sure Rawass missed, but too high to be able to get that ball back on net. Rawass not going to get that midfield 100. So oKhaliD's got space, but he's got a recovering Rawass with a 100 boost. He's trying to catch him diving out to the play. Rawass turned back, and that's not a good touch from Rawass. Going to keep himself on defense when he didn't need to be. He could have been out. But the aggressive challenge towards oKhaliD on this flick stops him, but oKhaliD finds his way. 12 boost for Rawass, who felt like he was going to be able to win the race to that ball and pop it over oKhaliD instead of the opposite. Quick camera check shows that oKhaliD's nowhere to be found. You can safely drop it in front of your net. So that's what Rawass does. Into the air dribble, and he was thinking air dribble bump, I think, but he had already noticed that oKhaliD had missed. Really wide swing, and oKhaliD attacking from so far away. It's just that final touch. Some players do take down for maybe a reset in that spot and slow the ball down. Maybe you could argue that's what oKhaliD was expecting, and that's what he was going to try and intercept, but instead Rawass got a touch to accelerate it just a bit more, and then that made it so that oKhaliD was nowhere near. Rawass trying to control again. Has to know that oKhaliD's going to look demo, which he does. Keeps his eye on oKhaliD the whole way. This last bit of boost, he flicks. He's trying to start a possession here, but it doesn't seem like he's going to. oKhaliD ends it right away. He's already back on the blue half. Taking some pads in the process of collecting the ball. Has to shoot now because off this bounce dribble, if he tries to keep it going with zero boost, it's only going to be worse than right then. And if he shoots, he can at least steal some boost. Which he does, but it doesn't matter. Rawass able to long shot to get a sixth. oKhaliD was thinking Rawass was coming back down to the ground. You see him driving all the way on the back wall in the corner, hoping to disrupt Rawass, who stays up on the wall. Rawass, did he find this angle? He did not. Pretty unfortunate bounce, too. Setting oKhaliD up for the long shot. Rawass going to slam it right back, so back to oKhaliD dribble. Rawass shadowing, and he can't make the save. Surprisingly, the shadow position for Rawass has not been the strength. You see he power slides into it. Normally that's where he likes to be. oKhaliD, kickoff, not necessarily lost, but pushed into his corner. He's going to control it first. He's going to go air dribble bump. Rawass, I mean, all the classic things we know about him, I would still claim him as one of the best air dribble bumpers, or sorry, air dribble bump defenders. But oKhaliD, too good, has the answer. .30 seconds left to go. Needs another goal here. He wants to force overtime. Rawass looking to take the lead in this series against the best to ever do it from Saudi Arabia. Free flip gets him the boost, but costs him his life. So now it'll be oKhaliD with space, with enough time to do whatever he wants. In the next 10 seconds, this attack can work, but he at least needs to be following it up and not letting Rawass score on the other end. He wanted to go for the bounce dribble and win a challenge. Normally used to being a brick wall against anybody who comes to meet him, but Rawass wins this one. 4 seconds, and it doesn't matter. That ball's too high. Even if oKhaliD somehow gets it to net, it will have taken too much time. So Rawass 2-1 in the series. able to hold off the oKhaliD comeback in this game. But can he hold off the oKhaliD comeback in the rest of the series? Game number 4. The last two in favor of Rawass. And he's going to try and start similarly here in this game with the immediate kickoff. The kickoff battle has been an interesting one between these two. It has been pretty much exclusively standard kickoffs, which is how the old kickoff battles used to go. Back in the day, it was all about just getting the best standard kickoff, whether that is reading slightly, which side of the ball your opponent's going to, or just getting their fastest and most goal side. Most of the battles in 1v1 kickoffs nowadays have included fakes, delays, wave dashes, a variety of different takes. These guys, they want to go at each other with the classics. And that is a classic goal right there of 1v1. Everybody's seen this go in their net before. I think oKhaliD is trying to push the ball right, which is very interesting. As long as Rawass is quick enough in goal side, I mean, that's a perfect counter to that. Maybe if he's expecting Rawass to go diagonal as well. Rawass a fourth. Man, he has put himself right back in the spot he was at before, where he was getting to control the game immediately after the start. oKhaliD demoed as he recovers to net. I don't see a world where he gets back. 5-0. Rawass on track for something like a 20-goal win. Can't imagine the trend continues all the way to the end of the game. oKhaliD's going to get his first defensive stop in a bit and should be able to make something out of this. Nope, I lied. He gets demoed. It's another goal. It is a tough ball to control on the back wall, but all you have to do is evade the demo. The thing is, the ball was so close that there wasn't really space to evade the demo and not lose control of it. Rawass now immediately cutting this ball to the left post because he knows oKhaliD is recovering, turning right, forcing him to make another adjustment on defense instead of playing into him. And now his air dribble 50 is not quite in, but oKhaliD thought it was. He jumped for the save and made it possible for Rawass to get the follow-up. He didn't, though. It's not over yet. oKhaliD's still on 0. Rawass just hasn't left a few yards out of the box, but finally will have to. He's just immediately back on offense. Took 2 seconds of oKhaliD touching the ball before Rawass was threatening yet again. There's the first shot from oKhaliD, and it's not a goal. Just barely. I actually thought Rawass was going to be able to save it somewhat easily, but it did turn out to be as slim a margin as possible. oKhaliD plays keep away, gets to the ground faster, and this is definitely a goal. Rawass not used to having to play defense in this game. Forced to do it for the first time. Misses his challenge. oKhaliD able to get back to this one. Felt like there was maybe an angle there, but Rawass not willing to risk it with no boost off kickoff, because if he goes for that shot and doesn't succeed, he is very, very likely to be scored on the other way. And right now, I mean, it's halfway through the game is normally not the time, especially in 1v1, to start playing your lead at all. 6-1. I know it may seem like it's time to be passive and hold on to it, but it really isn't. Still, Rawass might be easing up a bit. Demo. And now the shot comes too late. He needed to get the movement as oKhaliD came to challenge, but he pushed it away from himself early and then had to catch back up. First touch, handed it to oKhaliD. He knows, so he's just going to chase him down and demo him. He said, forget the ball. I want the player. And whether that was his original plan or not, it definitely became his plan as soon as he dropped the dribble. Rawass is going to keep going at oKhaliD. Normally, players in this spot will put on a shot and then maybe go steal boost to use their opportunity to get 100 and then try and keep the defender pinned. Rawass has faith in his zero boost ability against oKhaliD's, so he just stays aggressive on the back wall and is eventually able to get the 8th goal, 8-1 with a minute 44 left to go. oKhaliD sees a sign of life here a little bit with a kickoff. Gonna have to be the first of many for him in the process of making up a 7-goal deficit. Or was it 7? It might have just been 6 at the highest, but still. Rawass makes it 7 once again. I guess, of course, it was 7. He had just equalized it, but only for a second. Rawass lean back into the reset. Soft musty so he can 50 it. Wow. If he launches a regular musty, oKhaliD is there and probably can just save it and end the possession, but instead Rawass goes soft with the musty so that he can follow it right back up and force in the challenge around the net. 10 goals. Yeah, I see 10 question mark in chat. I mean, that's a good question. A minute 22 left to go. 10 goals already is you are accurately assessing this game. How is Rawass finding this much scoring, especially when he couldn't find almost anything in that first game that he lost? oKhaliD needs to score on every attempt now, so this has to work, and he never really had a chance to score the way he got the reset. Rawass trying to show him how it's done. Pogo? No way. Rawass trying to style. We saw Rawass try the Pogo yesterday, and everybody who is here knows that Rawass has absolutely no business trying to Pogo. I mean, unless he did a ton of practice last night, we did not see something that would suggest Rawass's Pogo is tournament ready, but maybe up 10-2 it is. Double reset for Rawass. He was going to need a really tough flip to bring it back to net. And that tough flip involves moving completely away from the ball and not protecting it, which is exactly what he went for. Talking about protecting the ball, mentioning that, you know, on these dribbles, the best players will be covering their net pretty much the entire time they're dribbling, so that if any challenge does come, it does not result in an instant goal. Rawass, little camera check to see how long he has before oKhaliD comes back. 11-4, 21 seconds. Rawass is going to go up 3-1. Trying to make oKhaliD have a tough climb back. Ceiling reset for Rawass. This time the musty is not a soft one he plans on challenging again with. He tried to sneak it behind oKhaliD. oKhaliD does not find a final goal. Rawass lets it hit the ground. 3-1. Everything has been turning up Rawass the past 3 games, but it's not over for oKhaliD. Game 5 in this best of 7. Rawass now in the same position that Joreas was on the other semifinal. Get 1 game out of 3, and you can move on to the grand final. Joreas not able to do it, though. Can Rawass find his way through the greatest 1v1er, or one of the greatest 1v1ers, I should say? oKhaliD immediately starting with a goal, something that he hasn't done in a while. Not just because he hasn't get the first goal, but just a direct kickoff goal, something that has been coming rarely for him. This here dribble bump is saved by Rawass and countered to tie the game. Anybody can watch Party My Stream, Mountain. Saw somebody ask that in chat. Feel free to go live and watch the matches. Rawass just barely able to control this. Has to reverse out of net to get this second save. And the long shot rewards him for his defense. oKhaliD felt comfortable on the attack with 0 boost because he did not expect as clean mechanics from Rawass in defense. Rawass, no plan to shoot, just trying to stay in control of the ball as he works his way to the corner. Was hoping to bump oKhaliD there, but doesn't connect. Now oKhaliD diving. Oh, I thought maybe he's going to dive to the back corner boost, but turns back on the ball and almost gets Rawass to own goal it. Rawass pinches it out, so now oKhaliD with space. The bounce dribble turns into an air dribble, and he's looking for Rawass. It's so you can see him homing in on him. He says, if you jump, I'm going to bump you, but if you stay down, I'll just keep dribbling. But as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm just smacking you out of the way. Two Rawass. Clean kickoff win. Standard kickoffs for these guys still. Unless my eyes have failed me. I don't think I remember seeing any wave dash from either one of these guys, which is such a common thing in 1v1 now. It's worth bringing up that almost everybody has worked it into their arsenal. In fact, I feel like I've almost seen Rawass in other series do it. Feels good about the standard here today. oKhaliD missed jump, so now Rawass can get this double in. You know, this wasn't a guaranteed goal. He was going to have to hope for oKhaliD poor defense, but as soon as oKhaliD does that flip, it becomes possible for Rawass to score regardless of what oKhaliD does. And that's what he's able to do, squeezing in on a super tight angle. oKhaliD soft touch. 50'd with Rawass. This is going to be heavily in his favor. Little camera check to make sure Rawass isn't turning back at him and is going to net. Air dribble setup. Never really on target anyways. Rawass gets that save. The possession's not over though, and he just barely gets his wheels on this one to get a reset and keep this out. Long shot for Rawass is not going in. oKhaliD sends it to the blue half in the process of picking up midfield boost, but is he going to be able to keep Rawass from escaping here? He is not. He wanted to though. He stayed close and was trying to work an angle to have Rawass drop the ball to him or make some kind of mistake, but Rawass doubles it off the ground to himself. Able to score 5th. Demo. And now Rawass is 6th. Half the game left to go here in what could be the deciding one of this match. Waiting for either one of these two is Moxie in the final. Rawass and Moxie have had quite the rivalry. If it ends up being Rawass, oKhaliD trying to stay ahead of Rawass here to evade any bump or demo. He does so and able to corral the ball for a 3rd goal. Oh yeah, I was going to say, I wonder why Rawass is nowhere around. And the reason we got to see there for a second is because he fell into the net. Just under 2 minutes. Rawass sees oKhaliD off cadence as he recovers, but still oKhaliD's able to get up. Oh my goodness. Almost found the impossible angle, but the post will send it back out. oKhaliD's had a good defensive sequence in order to earn this possession. And now it's time to capitalize on said possession. He flicks early. Gets Rawass to force a tap to the side wall and use a ton of boost in the process. But Rawass escapes. He doesn't need a lot. And he gets a 7th goal. oKhaliD very clearly made the decision, instead of trying to beat Rawass with one shot, he was going to slowly starve him out. That initial lob is one that Rawass is definitely going to save, but it's going to cost him a bit of boost as he goes up to double jump. And then oKhaliD hoping the follow-up's in his favor, but Rawass plays too good on 0. And has a 7-3 lead. oKhaliD, he has to be aggressive here in the final moments. And it's going to pay off here as Rawass passes it to him midfield. Or at least midfield enough for the air roll power shot to be available. Rawass on the kickoff possession, looking to force oKhaliD into the net, and oKhaliD making a mistake as he recovers back to the ball. Awkward recovery. He swings wide. He's trying to get one more pad, and he didn't get it. He did all that extra work to drive out to it, but the pad had just been taken. And so then he had to make his defensive effort with nothing left over. oKhaliD should be punishing Rawass here for trying to hover underneath this ball. You can't wait for that high of a lob to come back down to the ground right on top of your car. It's definitely enough time, especially with these guys always going standard kickoff every time. I mean, those can be pretty volatile if one person gains a bit of an edge. Rawass with 30 seconds. Attacking on a full field dribble is not backing down in the final moments. You might expect somebody to play it safe and try and secure the win, but Rawass says, I am playing it safe with this shot right here. It's guaranteed going to be a goal, and nothing safer than extending the lead by even more. 9-5, direct kickoff for oKhaliD. Not the bounce he needed out of that corner. Rawass has to jump to dodge the demo, so it will be a goal for oKhaliD. 15 seconds now. This one took enough time that if he does it a few more times in a row, he actually could force a tie game. But you have to imagine Rawass throws in the... Oh, that's a wave dash kickoff for oKhaliD right there. I think that's the first we saw. Maybe we had seen more, I just didn't notice, but oKhaliD mixing it up. It's not going to matter. No way he's getting the three-pointer here. Rawass sends it to the ground. Takes down the Middle East legend in 1v1 and earns himself another matchup with Moxie.